Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. When a man disappears on you, ghosted, vanished, no calls, no texts, no good morning, beautiful, and then out of nowhere he hits you with the hey stranger text. Now listen to me. I want you to really hear this part because it's where most people mess up. When he reaches out after being silent, after disappearing, ghosting, vanishing into thin air like he never knew your name, your first instinct might be to act like it's all good. Oh, hey, how are you? I missed you. No. Stop right there. That's how you end up in the same cycle, dealing with the same nonsense over and over again. You cannot just ignore the silence. You can't pretend it didn't happen because that silence, that was the message. Let me tell you something. When someone stops talking to you without explanation, without respect, without a single ounce of accountability, that's a decision. That's not an accident. He didn't just get busy. He didn't forget to text you back for 3 weeks. He made a choice to go quiet. And that choice says everything you need to know. So when he suddenly decides to pop back up, texting you out the blue like y'all just had coffee yesterday, you don't owe him a soft landing. You owe yourself some honesty. You see, you teach people how to treat you by what you accept. So if he walks away with no explanation and you welcome him back with open arms, he learns that he can go ghost and still have access to you. You think you're being kind. You think you're being forgiving, but what you're really doing is saying, your silence didn't mean enough to me to hold you accountable. And that's dangerous because the more you let people slide, the more they think they can skate. Let's get real for a second. You were up late wondering what happened. You were checking your phone, rereading texts, questioning yourself. You were losing sleep over someone who had already made the decision to go silent on you. That wasn't just disrespect. That was emotional confusion. So when he comes back like nothing happened and you smile and say, hey, like you didn't cry some nights over the silence, what you're really doing is gaslighting your own pain. You're telling yourself those weeks didn't matter, but they did. That version of you who was confused, hurt, unsure she deserved better. She still does. So when he reaches out, don't pretend like you don't remember. You remember, and he needs to know you remember. That doesn't mean you need to go off or curse him out. No, don't give him that kind of power. Keep your composure. Look at him through the eyes of someone who knows her worth now. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to beg for answers. The silence already gave you all of them. And let me tell you something else. See, real men don't disappear when it gets inconvenient. Real men communicate. They may not always say the perfect thing, but they say something. They don't just vanish and come back when they feel like it. A man who truly values you will move with respect, not confusion. And if he didn't do that, you need to ask yourself, not why he left, but why you'd even consider letting him return like nothing happened. That first moment, when he sends that, hey stranger text, or hits you with a random emoji like y'all are still good, that's your power moment. That's when you decide whether you're going to keep going in circles or finally draw a line. That's when you decide if you're going to honor your own emotions or dismiss them for his convenience. Now, you might be tempted to reply just to see what he wants, just to get some answers. But let me tell you, most of the time, the answer is simple. He had access to you, lost it, and now he's testing the gate. Don't open the door just because he knocked. Ask yourself, did he show up with accountability or just availability? Because anybody can be available when they're bored, lonely, or when their other options didn't work out. You got to value yourself enough to confront the silence. You can do it with grace. You can do it with calm, but you've got to do it. You say, I noticed when you stopped showing up. That's it. Short. Direct. No drama. Just truth. You're not asking for an explanation. You're letting him know you noticed and that you're not someone who can be paused and resumed like a movie on Netflix. You are a person with value, with feelings, with standards. Let him sit with that. Let him feel the weight of what it means to walk away from someone who knows what she deserves. Because if he doesn't feel that weight, he'll think it's okay to do it again. And that's not the lesson we're teaching today. So no, you don't pretend it didn't happen. You don't give him the luxury of starting over without consequence. If he wants to come back, let him come back with effort, with explanation, and with consistent action, not a weak little text at 9:37 p.m. because he got bored and remembered how good you were to him. You're not mad. You're not bitter. You're just better now, and better knows better. Now, let's talk about something people don't talk about enough. Your peace. Your peace is not a suggestion. It's not something you compromise on. It's not negotiable. Your peace is the currency that determines whether someone gets to stay in your life or not. So when a man reaches out after disappearing, when he circles back after silence, the first thing you gotta ask yourself isn't, what does he want? Or, why is he calling now? No, the real question is simple. Does this man protect my peace or disturb it? See, peace don't always come with candles and spa music. Sometimes peace looks like choosing not to answer. Peace looks like reading that text, seeing, hey, you good, after 3 weeks of nothing, and choosing you instead of choosing a rerun of disappointment, because you know exactly how it plays out. You've seen the episode. He goes quiet, comes back, says the right thing for a minute, and before long, you're back in that same confused space, wondering where you stand, questioning your worth, and blaming yourself for his inconsistency. That ain't peace. That's punishment. You worked hard to get back to yourself. You cried some. You journaled. You prayed. You put the phone down. You let the silence hurt. You grew. You got stronger. And now here he come, thinking he can slide back into your life like nothing happened, like he didn't cause you to question yourself for weeks. But here's the thing. You don't get to disrupt somebody's life and then come back like it's your right. Nah. Access to you is a privilege. And if his presence costs you your peace, he can't afford you. Sometimes we don't protect our peace because we don't believe we deserve it. You hear me? You're so used to chaos, so used to almost, so used to begging for love that when a man leaves and comes back, you start thinking it's a sign. Maybe he missed me. Maybe he needed time. Nah. Maybe he saw the door was still cracked open and decided to slide through again. People will test your boundaries more than once just to see if you're serious. You told him you were done. Now he's back to see if you meant it. Let me tell you something. Healing is quiet. It don't announce itself. But when you get there, when you get to the place where you don't flinch at his name anymore, when your stomach don't turn at that text message, when you can pause before you respond and actually ask yourself, is this good for me? That's when you know your peace is in charge now. And when peace is in charge, drama don't stand a chance. People will make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. They'll say you're cold. They'll say you changed. Good, that's the point. Growth should feel like distance to the people who only benefited from your confusion. You owe nobody comfort when it comes at the cost of your sanity. And you definitely don't owe someone a response when all they gave you was silence. You gotta be bold about your boundaries. Not loud, bold. There's a difference. Loud is trying to make noise to prove a point. Bold is knowing you are the point. Bold is seeing his name pop up on your phone, and instead of going down memory lane, you go back to peace, back to calm, back to that version of you that doesn't beg anyone to choose her. She chooses herself. And look, I know it's hard. I know it's tempting to think maybe this time it'll be different. But peace ain't about hope. Peace is about evidence. If his return brings more questions than answers, that ain't peace. If you feel your chest tighten and your stomach turn every time you talk to him, that ain't peace. If you're losing sleep, second, guessing your worth, wondering if you said too much or not enough, baby, that ain't peace. So when he reaches out, you don't just respond because you're flattered he thought of you. You pause, you check in with yourself, you ask, am I at peace right now? And will engaging with him protect that or disrupt it? If it disrupts it even a little, then the answer is easy. No is a full sentence. Silence is a valid response. Distance is divine. Let him feel what it's like to lose access to a woman who learned how to protect her peace. Let him sit with the version of you that no longer gives chances to confusion. Let him watch from the outside while you thrive in clarity. That's not being petty. That's being free. You don't owe him conversation. You don't owe him closure. You owe yourself continuation of the healing, of the peace, of the growth. Because when peace becomes your priority, anything that threatens it becomes irrelevant. His return might shake you for a second, but it doesn't have to move you. You've been through enough. You know enough now. And here's the truth. Once you've tasted real peace, you don't go back to chaos just because it's familiar. Familiar don't mean safe. It just means you've survived it before. And surviving isn't the same as thriving. Thriving is when your peace ain't disturbed by a text. Thriving is when your worth isn't tied to his timing. Thriving is when you finally realize that love doesn't disappear. People do. Real love stays. Real love shows up. Real love speaks, even when it's hard. Silence. That ain't love. That's convenience. So when he reaches out, you look at that message and you ask yourself, do I want to let this back in my life, or do I want to protect what I built while he was gone? If it costs you your peace, the answer should always be the same. Let me tell you something that's going to hit hard for a lot of folks, but it needs to be said. You are not a backup plan. You are not an option. You are not somebody's horn in the meantime until they figure out what they really want. When a man leaves you in silence, disappears without explanation, and then shows up again like nothing happened, you better believe that wasn't divine timing. That was convenience. That was him realizing the other door he was knocking on didn't open. So now he's spinning the block hoping you're still will. But let me ask you something real simple. When did you start allowing yourself to be plan B? When did you forget you were the blessing, the catch, the answered prayer somebody's been hoping for? See, the danger is when you don't know your worth, you'll settle for anything that looks like attention. That, I miss you. After 3 weeks of silence, that ain't romance, that's recycling. That's someone trying to revisit what they didn't value the first time. And if you let them in again without holding them accountable, you teach them that disappearing has no consequence, that your love is available anytime they feel like it. Now look, I know how this works. You start thinking maybe he needed space, maybe life got busy, maybe he was going through something. And yeah, maybe he was. But let me ask you this. Was he going through something that made it impossible to send one honest message? Because that's all it takes. Just one. One message to say, I'm dealing with something right now, but I don't want you to think I'm disappearing on you. That's what men do when they respect you, when they honor your time, when they see your value. Silence isn't about being too busy. Silence is about priorities. Don't confuse someone's comfort with your kindness. He might feel safe coming back to you, but that doesn't mean he's coming back for the right reasons. That doesn't mean he's changed. Sometimes a man doesn't come back because he misses you. He comes back because what he tried didn't work. And now he wants to know if you're still available. Like you're some kind of emotional safety net. You're not the leftover option. You're not the spare tire in the trunk just in case the ride gets bumpy somewhere else. And every time you open that door for someone who walked away from you, you delay the person who would have walked toward you because they see the energy you're wasting on someone who already showed you they didn't choose you the first time. And see, it don't always feel like being second choice. That's how tricky it is. Sometimes it feels like maybe he just needed time to figure things out. Sometimes it feels like he wasn't ready then, but he's ready now. That's what he tells you. But what's really happening, he's treating you like a convenient constant. Somebody he knows will be there while he experiments with his freedom. He didn't think you were gone for real. He thought you'd just stay waiting. Because the first time he disappeared, you let him back in. The second time, you reasoned it away. The third time, you told yourself you loved him too much to let go. And now you're stuck in a pattern where your loyalty is costing you your dignity. Let me put it to you plain. You're not a revolving door. You're not here to provide emotional shelter every time life gets hard for him. You're not built to be someone's reset button. You are a woman of value, with purpose, with a heart that deserves consistency. If a man can walk away from you without looking back, then he should have to stay gone long enough to know that doors don't stay open forever. You don't get to treat people like a layaway plan. That ain't love. That's disrespect dressed up in charm. And here's the part a lot of people miss. It ain't just about him coming back. It's about you being ready to see the truth when he does. It's about you being healed enough to say, you know what? I loved you. I wanted you, but I want me more. That's where your power is. That's when the healing really shows. Not when you block him. Not when you argue, but when you look at that message and feel absolutely nothing, just peace, just clarity, just done. Because at the end of the day, this ain't about revenge. This ain't about ego. This is about growth. You've grown past being somebody's backup plan. You've grown into a woman who understands her value doesn't decrease just because somebody failed to recognize it. Their inability to choose you has nothing to do with your worth and everything to do with their confusion. That's their burden to carry, not yours. You deserve someone who chooses you the first time, who doesn't need silence to recognize your value, who doesn't come back only when it's convenient, but stays present even when it's hard. So when that man shows up after weeks, maybe even months of nothing, and you feel that old feeling start creeping in, stop yourself. Ask the hard question. Am I responding to love or loneliness? Am I reacting to what I deserve or what I miss? That answer will save you. That truth will protect you. Because the moment you remember who you are, not just what you feel, that's when you stop entertaining people who treat you like a side note in your own story. That's when you stand in your power and say, if you couldn't choose me when it mattered, you don't get to come back when it's easy. You are not a backup plan. You are the whole vision. Make him see that by walking away, not bitter, not broken, but better every time. Let me tell you something real clear, and I want you to let this sink in deep. Closure is not something you wait on. It's something you give yourself. I know. We all want answers. We all want explanations. You sit there checking your phone like it's going to tell you why he disappeared. You replay the last conversation in your mind 100 times, trying to figure out where it went wrong. You think, maybe if I just get one more conversation, I'll feel better. I'll understand. But the truth is, some people will never give you closure. Not because you don't deserve it, but because they don't have the capacity to provide it. They don't know how to be honest. They don't know how to be accountable. And sometimes they just don't care enough to explain. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but baby, that's not your burden to carry. See, when a man reaches out after silence, the temptation is to use that moment to get what you've been craving. A why, a reason, an apology, something to make all those nights of confusion make sense. You think this is it. He's finally going to explain. But 9 times out of 10, he ain't calling to heal you. He's calling because he feels like it. He's calling because his loneliness got loud. He's calling because he wants to see if you're still there. And if you give him that conversation thinking it'll bring you peace, you're setting yourself up for more confusion because you're asking clarity from the same person who gave you chaos. Let me ask you something. If a man could leave you without a word, disappear without a goodbye, then what kind of closure are you expecting from that? You're asking someone to clean up a mess they don't even believe they made. And the longer you wait for them to give you peace, the longer you put your healing on hold. Closure ain't a conversation. It's a decision. It's when you decide that even without the explanation, even without the apology, you're done waiting. You're done bleeding in places they don't even remember cutting you. You think healing means understanding everything, but healing just means you choose yourself, even when the story doesn't come with a neat little ending. You don't need his permission to move on. You don't need his clarity to let go. You are allowed to close the chapter without rereading the book. You are allowed to walk away, even if the door never officially shut. Some doors don't slam. They just slowly close as you learn your worth. Now I know some of y'all think, but what if he's sorry? What if he really wants to explain? Shouldn't I hear him out? Listen, I'm not saying you can't listen. I'm saying don't base your healing on what you might hear, because a lot of times the apology don't even land right. You finally get the chance to talk and he says something like, I didn't know what I wanted, or I was just going through a lot. And instead of peace, you get more questions. Well, why didn't you say that? Why did you handle it like that? And now you're back in a loop, hoping this time the truth will make the pain disappear. But pain doesn't go away just because you understand it. Pain goes away when you stop holding on to the person who caused it. You're looking for answers to a test you already passed. You don't need to know why he left to know he left. You don't need to know what he was thinking to know what he did. That silence was the answer. That absence was the message. And here's the deeper truth. Sometimes the reason we want closure so bad is because we want to keep the door cracked just a little. We want to make sure that if the story ends, it ends on our terms. We want to rewrite the goodbye so it don't hurt as much. But that's not closure. That's control. That's fear. And fear will keep you stuck in places your spirit is ready to leave. You're not broken because he left. You're not unlovable because he went quiet. You are not hard to love. You were just loving someone who didn't value it. And now that he's back, you think you need to hear him say something to feel whole again. But baby, you've been whole. You've been enough. And if he didn't see that before, his words now can't change that truth. Closure comes the moment you realize you don't need them to validate your experience. Closure is when you say, I felt what I felt. I gave what I gave. And I learned what I needed to learn. That's it. That's enough. You don't need to explain your pain to someone who caused it. You don't need to justify your healing to someone who left. You can choose peace without participation. You can choose growth without their blessing. So when he reaches out, don't go digging for meaning in that message. Don't read between the lines hoping for healing. If you've moved on, if you found your peace, don't invite back the very energy that disturbed it in the first place. You don't owe him a seat at the table just because he finally remembered your name, especially not when you spent months trying to forget the way he left you. Let his silence be the last word. Let your growth be the final statement. You're not chasing closure anymore. You are the closure. You're the reason you got up, wiped your tears, and kept living. You're the reason you smiled again. You're the one who chose to heal, even when the wound didn't come with an apology. So when he reaches out after silence and you feel that old need for answers creeping back in, remind yourself of this. I don't need to understand why he left to know that I deserved better while he was gone. Let me tell you something that might just flip the whole game for you. Just because someone reaches out doesn't mean you gotta answer. I know that sounds simple, but for some of y'all, that's the most powerful thing you'll hear all year. See, we've been raised to believe that when somebody calls, you pick up. When somebody texts, you respond. Especially if it's someone you once loved, someone you waited on, cried over, prayed about. You start thinking this might be it. This might be the moment they finally come correct. So your fingers itch to respond. Your heart skips a beat. But let me hit you with this real quick. Every text doesn't deserve a reply. You ever notice how people act once they realize you've started doing better without them? It's like clockwork. They disappear without a word, go ghost for weeks or months, and then all of a sudden, hey, stranger, been thinking about you, just wanted to check in. Nah, don't fall for it. That's not a check-in, that's a check-up. They're trying to see if you're still available, if the door they walked out of is still cracked open. But the truth is, you're not the same woman they left. You've grown, you've healed. You've had to rebuild yourself without the closure they never gave, without the love they pulled away, and without the apology they still haven't said. So why respond now? See, silence is powerful. Silence tells the truth louder than words. When you don't respond, that's a message in itself. It says, I'm not entertaining confusion anymore. I'm not inviting inconsistency back into my life. I've moved forward, and you no longer have access to the version of me you took for granted. That's strength. That's healing. And it's also hard. I'm not going to lie to you. It's hard to ignore someone you still care about. It's hard to see that name pop up on your phone and not feel something. But what you feel and what you deserve, those are two different things. You can feel the history, the chemistry, the old memories. You can feel all of that and still know this person is not good for where I'm going. That's wisdom. That's maturity. That's self-respect in action. You don't owe anybody a response just because they finally remembered you exist. You don't have to explain your silence. You don't have to justify your peace. Let them wonder. Let them sit in the same uncertainty they left you in. Because real talk, people start appreciating your presence the moment they feel your absence. And if they didn't value you when they had full access, then they don't deserve another invitation. Sometimes we respond out of habit. We respond because we don't want to look bitter, because we don't want to seem rude. But guess what? Protecting your peace ain't rude. Guarding your heart ain't bitter. Saying nothing is not a weakness. It's power. It means you've learned that not everything deserves your energy, that your attention is valuable, that your space is sacred. And let me say this to the people in the back. It's okay to outgrow people who stayed the same. It's okay to love someone and still choose to love yourself more. It's okay to say, I see you reaching out, but I'm not interested in revisiting what broke me. You are not obligated to reopen wounds just because someone else suddenly feels guilty. That guilt belongs to them. That's their journey. Don't make it your healing project. You've come too far to go back to what hurt you. You've done too much inner work to let one text undo it. Because let's be honest, if the silence taught you anything, it taught you how to stand on your own. It taught you how to pray differently, how to treat yourself with more love, how to see red flags for what they are instead of painting them white. That silence built you. So don't let a moment of loneliness fool you into thinking someone's inconsistency deserves another shot. Look at your life right now. Look at the peace you've created, the strength you've built. The version of you that had to pick up the pieces when they left without warning. That woman, she's not the same woman who used to wait by the phone. She's wiser now. She's clear. She knows what she brings to the table, and she's no longer scared to eat alone. So the next time he reaches out after all that silence, remember responding isn't always the strong move. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is not reply, to keep walking, to keep healing, to keep choosing you, because real love doesn't leave you guessing. It doesn't disappear and reappear like a magic trick. Real love is consistent. It shows up. It stays. It grows. And when you finally stop answering every knock at the door, you make space for the one who'll never walk away in the first place. So when that message comes through and you feel the pull to respond, pause and ask yourself, is this love or is this a test? And if it's a test, baby, pass it by saying absolutely nothing at all. Let me be real with you for a minute. When he reaches out after being gone for a while, it's not just about what's happening now. It's about everything that's already happened. Don't get it twisted. You can't let one moment, one message, one I miss you, erase the months of silence, the hurt, the unanswered questions. People want to walk back in your life like they never left. And that's where you need to draw the line. You don't owe anyone a second chance, especially when they didn't even take the first one seriously. Here's the thing. I know some of you out there still hold on to that hope that when they come back, they'll be different. They'll be better. They'll be the person you always wanted them to be. But you know what I've learned? People don't change just because they show up. They change when they've truly done the work, when they've faced their own demons, when they've learned to treat you with the respect you deserve. And you don't have to teach them that. They should already know it. But see, there's something about being in love or even just loving someone that makes us blind. When they come back into the picture, our hearts start racing. We start wondering if this is the moment they finally get it. But let me tell you something, this moment isn't about them. This moment is about you. It's about how far you've come. It's about the strength you've built while they were absent. It's about your healing, your growth, your understanding of who you are and what you deserve. And it's about making sure that you never let someone who walked away come back and try to rewrite your story. So when he reaches out, it's easy to get caught up in the emotion of it all. It's easy to feel like you've been waiting for this moment, like everything has been building up to this one chance. But here's the real question you need to ask yourself. What are you really hoping for? Are you hoping for a change in him? Or are you hoping to feel better about the hurt that's already been done? Are you responding because you truly believe he's grown? Or because you want to feel validated by the attention that's coming your way? Let me put it this way. You don't need validation from the person who caused you pain. You don't need validation from someone who couldn't show up when you needed them most. You don't need validation from someone who disappeared when the going got tough. Your worth is not determined by their affection. It's not determined by their absence. You've always had that worth within you. And the moment you start relying on someone else's approval to feel good about yourself, you give them power over your happiness. You give them control over your peace. And that's something you can't afford to give up. Now, let's talk about the truth of the situation. When someone walks away from you, especially when they've been silent for so long, they've shown you exactly who they are. They've told you everything you need to know about their level of commitment, their ability to prioritize you, and their respect for your time and your heart. That silence wasn't just a maybe I'll come back later moment. That silence was a statement. It was a choice. And here's the hard truth. People show you who they are with their actions, not their words. And no matter how sweet the words are now, they can't erase the fact that they chose to leave. They chose to walk away when you needed them. And now you have to decide if you're going to let them back in without addressing the damage they've done. You can't allow someone to re-enter your life without accountability. That's not just for them. That's for you. That's for your healing. You have every right to ask, what's changed? Why the silence before? You don't need to accept their answer, but you have the right to ask, because this isn't about punishment. This is about making sure that you're not being blindsided again. This is about making sure you're protecting your peace, your heart, your future. And if someone truly values you, they will understand that. They will understand that the relationship can't pick up where it left off without some honesty, some real conversations, and some serious changes. And if they don't get that, then they're showing you exactly why they don't deserve to come back into your life. Now, I know that's a tough pill to swallow. You may love this person deeply, and the idea of walking away, even after everything, feels impossible. But remember this, you are not responsible for their growth. You are not responsible for their healing. You are responsible for your own growth. You are responsible for your own healing. And if you've done the work to get to a place of peace, a place of strength, a place of clarity, then don't let anyone drag you back into confusion. Don't let anyone take you back to the emotional chaos you've already fought so hard to escape from. So when he comes back asking for another chance, asking for forgiveness, asking for you to pick up where things left off, ask yourself, what's in this for me? Because love is supposed to add to your life, not take away from it. Relationships are supposed to lift you up, not drain you. And if you've already put in the work to heal, to stand tall, to move on, then don't let someone who didn't value you at your worst come back and take advantage of your growth. At the end of the day, the choice is yours. You can let them back in. You can give them that second chance. But just make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, not because you're lonely or desperate for closure. And if the reason you're considering it is because you still haven't learned how to let go of someone who didn't hold on to you, then this is your chance to learn. Let them go. Let them walk back into the past where they belong. And you keep moving forward. You keep growing. You keep showing up for yourself, because no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to make all the hurt go away. But you've got the power to save yourself. You've got the power to decide that you're done waiting. You've got the power to decide that you're worthy of someone who shows up, stays, and loves you the way you deserve. You've got the power to decide that no one gets to enter your life unless they're adding to your peace, not taking away from it. And that, my friend, is how you take back control.